Critique video. Hi, my name is Leticia Argueta. Today I am going to talk about a writing test. This test is from Cambridge Assessment English, published in 2022. In this video, I will explain if this test is good or not. I will use 6 criteria to evaluate this test. These are validity, reliability, fairness, practicality, authenticity, and washback. So let's start. First, let's look at the test. Here we can see the exam. This is a standard test sample for Cambridge Assessment English. This test checks writing skills. For B1 students, it has 2 parts. In the part 1, a student writes an email to a friend. Then, in part 2, students can choose they can write an article or a story. I think this is good because students have options. Also, the test checks grammar, ideas, and organization. Now, let's talk about validity. First, I will talk about validity. I think this test has good validity because it checks our writing skills directly. For example, here we can see the email task. A student write an email, and this is something people do in real life. Also, a student write text like stories or articles, and they use a real communication, but there is a problem. The test doesn't not include formal writing, so students do not practice academic writing. Because of this, the test is good, but not complete. Now let's move to reliability. Now I will talk about reliability. I think reliability is a problem in this test because answers are different for each student. For example, one teacher can be high score, but another teacher can give a lower score. So the results are not always the same. This happens because our writing is a subjective. However, rubrics can help because they give a clear criteria. So reliability can improve, but is still limited. Next, let's talk about fairness. Now, I will talk about fairness. I think the test is mostly fair because the topics are simple and familiar. For example, writing to a friend. Also, students can choose between 2 options. So they can show their strengths, but there is also a problem. Not all students have the same experience. Some students practice writing more than others, so this can affect the results. Because of this, the test is fair, but not perfect. Now, let's move to practicality. Now, I will talk about practicality. I think this test is practical because it only takes 45 minutes. Also, it does not need many material, so it's easy to use in class. But there is a problem. Checking the test takes time because teacher needed to read each answer carefully. So it's easy to apply, but difficult to grade. Now, let's talk about authenticity. And now I am going to talk about authenticity. I think this test is very real because students write emails and people write emails in real life. Also, writing articles is common today, so the tasks are meaningful. But there is a small problem. The instructions are very guide, so students do not have full freedom. Because of this, authenticity is good but not perfect. Finally, let's talk about washback. Finally, let's talk about washback, which is basically how this test affected our classes. I think it's mostly positive. Since the test asks for things like making excuse or giving opinions, teachers focus more on real communication and not just boring grammar rules. That's great for us, but there is a small downside. Sometimes we only practice it exactly what's on the exam just to pass it. This is the way called teaching to the test, and it can limit our creativity a bit. So it's good, but we needed to find a balance. In conclusion, I think this test is good overall because it checks writing in a real and meaningful way. It allows the students to express their ideas and use language in practical situations. Also, it's practical and useful for teachers and students. However, it has some limitations. For example, reliability is not always consistent because different teachers may give different scores. In addition, it does not include all types of writing, especially formal or academic writing. For this reason, teachers should use other activities to complement this test. This can help students to develop a wider range of reading skills and improve their learning process. Thank you for your attention.